Key takeaways from Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor E. Frankl. In 1942, a Viennese psychiatrist was arrested and sent to a Nazi concentration camp. He would spend the next 3 years in 4 different camps, including Auschwitz, losing his parents, his brother, and his pregnant wife. What he carried out of that experience became one of the most influential books of the 20th century. Not a book about suffering, but about what allows a person to survive it. The book in brief, Man's Search for Meaning, is split into 2 parts. The first is Frankl's account of his time in the camps. Not a detailed historical record, but a psychological one, focused on how prisoners' inner lives changed under extreme deprivation and why some people held on to their humanity while others didn't. The second part introduces logotherapy, the form of psychotherapy Frankl developed for what he observed, built on a single core idea, that the primary human drive isn't pleasure or power, but the search for meaning. Frankl wrote much of the book from memory in just 9 days after his liberation. He didn't originally intend to put his name on it, expecting it to be one of many camp memoirs. It went on to sell more than 10 million copies. Takeaway 1. Meaning, not pleasure, is what sustains people. Frankl observed that prisoners who survived psychologically weren't necessarily the physically strongest. They were often the ones who held onto some reason to keep going. A person waiting for them, unfinished work, or a belief they refused to abandon. He concluded that human beings aren't primarily driven by the pursuit of pleasure, as Freud argued, or power, as Adler argued, but by a search for meaning. Without it, even relatively favorable circumstances can feel unbearable. With it, people have endured almost anything. Takeaway 2. You cannot control your circumstances, but you can control your response to them. This is the book's most quoted idea, and Frankl earned the right to make it. Stripped of every possession, every relationship, and nearly every choice, he observed that the camps could not take away one final freedom: the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. He watched men walk through the huts, comforting others and giving away their last piece of bread. Their bodies were prisoners. Their inner response was not. Frankl's argument is that this last freedom exists for everyone, in far less extreme situations too. Circumstances are often outside your control, but your response to them rarely is. Takeaway 3. Suffering can have meaning if you choose how you carry it. Frankl doesn't romanticize suffering, and he's explicit that unnecessary suffering should always be avoided or reduced. But when suffering is unavoidable, he argues it can still be given meaning, not because pain itself is good, but because the way a person carries unavoidable hardship is itself a final, defining act of choice. A person facing a terminal illness, for instance, can't change the diagnosis, but how they face it, with dignity or despair, is still entirely theirs to decide. For Frankl, this reframes suffering from something purely negative into something that can still say something about who a person is. Takeaway 4. Life asks questions of you. You don't get to ask life for meaning in the abstract. Frankl argues that people often go looking for the meaning of life, as if it were one universal answer waiting to be discovered. He flips the question. Life is constantly asking each person, moment by moment, what they will do with the circumstances in front of them. And it's the person's responsibility to answer through action, through the people they love, or through the stance they take toward unavoidable suffering. Meaning, in this view, isn't found through abstract searching. It's found in specific, concrete responsibility to your actual life. Takeaway 5. A sense of future purpose keeps people alive. Frankl noticed a pattern among prisoners who suddenly gave up. They typically lost their sense of a future first. Once someone stopped believing there was anything ahead worth living for, physical decline often followed quickly, sometimes within days. He describes helping fellow prisoners by pointing them towards something specific and future-facing to live for, a task left unfinished, a person waiting for them outside the camp. The lesson he draws is broader than the camps. Purpose isn't just a comforting idea. It appears to have a direct, physical bearing on a person's will to continue. Closing thought. Frankl didn't write Man's Search for Meaning to explain the concentration camps. He wrote it to explain what he learned about being human because of them. His conclusion wasn't that suffering is meaningful in itself, but that meaning is available even inside suffering if a person refuses to be reduced to their circumstances. Nearly 80 years later, his central claim still holds up as one of the most tested ideas in modern psychology. Those who have a why to live for can bear almost any how.